John could see the British man-of-war still in pursuit. How ironic, he thought, as he wiped sea spray off his eyeglass. All my life I have been a loyal British subject, a citizen of the Massachusetts colony, and now the British would gladly execute me if they got the chance. John frowned. How could he possibly explain this complicated situation to his oldest son? By comparison, John's childhood had been very ordinary. His own father had been involved in politics, but that profession had never led to anything as dangerous as the moment in which John now found himself. As a boy growing up in Massachusetts, John never imagined that politics could lead to the peril he now faced on the open seas. Chapter 2. It's a farmer you want to be, is it? "John Adams, are you listening to me?" Master Cleverly barked as he rapped his stick on the desk. John whipped his head around to face the front of the classroom. "Yes, sir," he replied, though he had no idea where the class was in the Latin textbook. "I hope so," the teacher continued. "Your father pays hard-earned money for you to be here. You should be taking advantage of the opportunity." John nodded and redirected his attention to Lily's Latin grammar, but inside he groaned. How many times had he been told that he should take advantage of the opportunity to go to Latin school? Every other day, he guessed. He was 13 years old, and by now most of his friends in Braintree had left school and were helping their fathers on their family farms. But not me, John thought glumly. I'm not that lucky. I get to stay at school until I master all of this text, and then what reward do I get? More school? When will it end? It was a good question, and one that John, as the oldest boy in his family, already knew the answer to. He had 2 younger brothers, 10-year-old Peter and 4-year-old Elihu, and although they all looked alike, with curly blonde hair and bright blue eyes, the 2 younger boys were destined for a life totally different from John's. They would not have to endure all this learning. Like John, Peter had gone to a dame school, where classes were held in the home of a female teacher, to learn the basics of reading, writing, and arithmetic. But by now, he had already left school and had started working on the farm. Like so many families in Massachusetts, John's parents, John and Susanna Adams, were determined that their oldest son should get the best education possible. A bell broke John's concentration. Much to his relief, it was recess time. Outside, the morning fog that had rolled in from Massachusetts Bay had lifted, and the leaves on the oak trees that surrounded Master Cleverly's house were a blaze of vivid oranges and reds. As John jumped down the steps and into the yard, the autumn colors reminded him that it was the time for wild geese to be heading south. That, in turn, led him to start thinking about his favorite pastime, hunting. Suddenly, John could almost feel the weight of his rifle in his hands and the smooth action of the bolt. He looked around. The other boys were beginning an informal wrestling match, while Master Cleverly, whom John thought was one of the laziest teachers around, was inside the house. John's heart beat fast. Now was the perfect time to make his getaway. John crept slowly around the side of the clapboard house and out of sight of the other boys. Then he burst into a run. How good it was to be free from school. There would be no more Latin or astronomy for him today. John ran all the way down the road, past the blacksmith shop and the grist mill, until he got close to his own house. Then, keeping a careful eye out for his mother, he made his way around the 70-year-old clapboard house to his bedroom, a low, steep-roofed lean-to at the back of the house. John had crept home for his gun many times before, and he was proud of the fact that he had never been caught doing so. He slipped the bolt on the door and reached his hand inside to get his rifle and powder pouch. With these items safely in hand, John